record on this computer. So greetings all. I've got a couple minutes where I want to talk about clinoptilolite, silicic acid, and orthosilicic acid, and how it pertains to clean slate. Right. So I'm going to show you a couple slides to go over a few things here real quick as well. So with the new labels of clean slate, you'll see that silicic acid is on the label. I think I have, I'm going to reach in my box here and we'll pull one out because you may be accustomed, whoops, these still say clinoptilolite, the ones I have. So you might be accustomed to seeing clinoptilolite on the label of clean slate because that's what we had labeled initially as rolling out the product. But due to advancements in, you can say knowledge, some advancements in experience, and advancements in outcomes, as means of properly talking about on the label what's in the product for proper registration purposes, and really a solid conversation piece. We changed the ingredient on the label, and this is what makes clean slate unique, and this is why this happened, right? Clinoptilolite is our raw ingredient in clean slate. So we source clinoptilolite from a single mine in the US that is proprietary to us actually with our manufacturer. 97% pure clinoptilolite, 3% bentonite. It's very, very rare to find something this pure. Usually with our previous mines, it was a mixture of clinoptilolite, chabazite, a little bentonite, sometimes mordanite, different mixtures of different zeolites. But what we use now is extremely pure, which is what also creates some of the better outcomes, because as we know, quality is everything. But what's important to look at clinoptilolite, see if I do this right, is the silica. And clinoptilolite is a sodium aluminosilicate. And we've been following this for the last few years. And this article was published in 2013 talking about the benefits of orthosilicic acid. And silica and silicic acid and orthosilicic acid are some of the primary building blocks of the human body, right? And you can see this article. It'll be posted in a few different places on the blogs, and there'll be a blog discussing this. But silica is one thing that we don't get enough of in our diet, and it's important to source properly. And you can see that silicon has already been associated with bone mineralization, collagen synthesis, skin, hair, nail health, atherosclerosis, Alzheimer's disease, immune system enhancement, some other disorders or pharmacological effects. And we'll scroll through this and we'll hit on a couple things. But where you get orthosilicic acid or silicic acid is what's important. And one of the best ways to do that is quite unique. It's from zeolites. One of the most effective is actually clinoptilolite. It's been shown to be the most effective in releasing orthosilicic acid because if you look here, it has a very high silica concentration. But how does this pertain to clean slate? This is the key point. In the process that we're using to fracture the honeycomb structure of clinoptilolite, we're breaking it up, and you'll hear people talk about the increase in surface area, right? If you start with a large cube, say a honeycomb in a bee box, right? You have the outer surface area to work with, and some of the internal cage structure. But if you fracture that honeycomb and you break it apart into, we'll just say 1 million pieces, much smaller fragments, you've dramatically increased the surface area. But what you've also done is freed up a lot of those connection points of that sodium aluminosilicate. So we make a massive amount of orthosilicic acid available. That silica becomes exchangeable when the zero, not the zero end, but clean slate is working through your system. We have those binding sites and the cage as part of the cage. So the silica is going to be exchanged for the mercury, the cadmium, the arsenic, the lead, the aluminum, the other environmental toxins that is really good at binding. And this is why the label now says silicic acid versus clinoptilolite, because we're creating massive amounts of silicic acid. And the fragments are there, right? So you have the combination of two things. You have the silicic acid along with the other zeolite fragments. But the classification of what those fragments really is orthosilicic acid. So this is why you see the changes. This gives you a little picture of what the framework looks like. But when we look at silicon bioavailability and the benefits, this is where things get interesting, right? Because we're doing things twofold. And you heard me talk about hair and nails and skin and tissue, which includes joints. And if you go through some of our groups where we're seeing case studies and responses, especially if you're here in Root Your Life, you hear people talk about their nails being stronger and growing better than they ever have before. You'll see photos of people whose skin changes dramatically. And this all comes from internal work of detoxification, but also the supplementation of orthosilicic acid. Your hair can start growing better. Sometimes your hair will come back where it didn't exist. Those are all the components of orthosilicic acid. So then we understand that the production of collagen can improve. And what does that do? How does that affect the body? So we look at the therapeutic and biological effects of orthosilicic acid. So now we're getting beyond just the detoxification conversation of removing these toxins, but also now adding in the silicic acid, the orthosilicic acid, and what it can do, right? It's been reported that it can help with bone mineralization and helping to prevent osteoporosis. And we know that osteoporosis is often caused by lead toxicity being stored in bones and then leaching back out in your 50s to where it weakens your bones because that lead had displaced calcium and other such. So the silica can help displace what has been removed to help remineralize bones. And there's benefits for hairs and nails and atherosclerosis and Alzheimer's disease and lots of other fun stuff. And I'm not going to dive into this too deep because this is designed to be really quick. But you can see there's explanations on why this is beneficial for Alzheimer's and osteoporosis, why there's benefits for skin and hair. And this is one interesting component, right? Because quartz, as I've talked about many times before, is actually a zeolite. It's a sibling to clinoptilolite. And people understand some of the energetic benefits of quartz, right? There's rose quartz, there's clear quartz, there's all these different quartz mines all over the world. And it could have been that Superman, his fortress of solitude, was all quartz. Maybe other zeolites. Could have been a lot of clinoptilolite. It's based on science fact, not science fiction. So you can see why we did this, because zeolites, clinoptilolite specifically, are likely the best source for orthosilicic acid. And because our process is unique, no one's ever done this, we were going off of what we knew from what had been done and what we'd done in the past and what Christina had created. But now we're well beyond that. So we changed. Did we change the formula? No. We're adding a little extra vitamin C, which is going to help us gain certification in the EU as a product. And we are working on adding trace minerals into the formula currently to be better supportive. So the product hasn't changed. The formula, the process hasn't changed. All that's changed is one word on the ingredients. But what really matters at the end of the day? Is it the back of the label or the front of the label, knowing that you're getting quality? Because the only thing that really, really matters is one thing: outcomes. And it's the front that shows where the outcomes come from. So did we make changes? Only to the label. So no changes in formula, no changes in process. So hopefully this is informative. And if you've got more questions, post them here.